So, for those of you who were watching earlier, I want to apologize. My phone actually got so hot that it shut down in the middle of all of that I was doing. So this is my second attempt to do episode 13 of what I do each weekend, typically at 2 p.m. on Saturdays. I started a little bit later today because all sorts of things that were taking place in my morning. And I initially was at Tempe Town Lake, and I was just finishing up the live when the phone shut down. And of course, if it shuts down, that means that there's no opportunity to save it and label it and catalog it and upload it, and so I wasn't able to do any of those things, so I have to start from scratch. And I'm one of those people that believes that everything happens for a reason. It's all for a reason. Everything that happens, there's synchronicities at play that I embrace and I accept, and I've learned to go with the flow. So again, this is obviously going to be recorded. If it's in the cards, it'll be recorded, and you will be able to view this at your convenience later on this evening after it's uploaded. But this is Ernest Sears Jr., author of Detox Here Circle, coming to you again. This is episode 13. And hi, Dance Man, what's up? How's it going right out? Soon to be Sears. Inside joke. So I was saying earlier that I had gotten on here earlier initially at Tempe Town Lake, and because it's so warm outside, the phone shut down after 10 minutes or so of my recording. So this is my second attempt. I'm at a different location where the sun is no longer at an angle that is directly on the phone, and I'm at a little park in South Scottsdale, North Tempe, off McKellips, I believe this is. And so I am going to attempt to start from the beginning and chat with you about authenticity. So before going into authenticity, what I normally do is I pick the number for the day, and today's number is 8, okay? And the number 8 is a number that is high octave. It is a number, it is associated with infinity, like 8. The figure 8, that is infinity. It is a power number. It is the number of infinite timelines. It is the awareness of infinite timelines and infinite possibilities. It is the ability, with this number is associated the ability to quickly manifest the things that you desire, quickly manifest the things that are the intentions of your heart, the desires of your heart. And that is because of that heightened awareness of your effect on the world, on the universe, that heightened awareness of what is really happening behind the scenes. So 8 is a very, very powerful number, and one that you want to take advantage of. This day is a day of infinite possibilities. It's a day that anything could happen, so it's best for you to focus on the things that you want to happen. Today is also the day before the full moon. So there's a full moon coming tomorrow, and one of the things we do before a full moon is we really focus on our intentions. What are the things, what are our intentional seeds that we want to manifest in the next 2 weeks or so? Those are the things that you want to focus on so that they can be cultivated, watered, rained on, all the things that are needed for a seed to sprout and come to fruition. Your intentional seeds are the same way. You want to really nourish them, and you want them to be able to unfold in a way that you envision in your heart. So with the full moon coming, it's very important for us to understand what it is that we're intending, understand what it is that we're working on, and we really want to birth. And the full moon is a good time for you to make those intentions known. Make it clear what your vision is so that can come to fruition for you. But today we're going to talk about authenticity. And authenticity is one of those words that is thrown around a lot, right? How often have we heard about how important it is to be authentic, and if you're not authentic, what it means for you? And we're just going to touch on that real briefly. Hopefully I'm going to get to the crux of it so that we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it. But basically, authenticity has to do with being real, being honest, unvarnished, speaking the truth, not just about others and about how you see things, not just giving your unsolicited opinion, okay? Being authentic has to do with being honest about who you are. What are you bringing to the table? So a person that is authentic is someone who is real, who's not fake, who is not copying things and presented it as their own. They're not plagiarizing life, okay? And so another way to define authenticity, I looked this up, and I think this is a definition that is definitely going to resonate with you all, but it has to do with the degree to which a person's actions are congruent with the beliefs and desires despite external pressures to conform. So whatever your beliefs and desires are, you are going to espouse those, you're going to hold true to those regardless of pressure from other people to change, pressure from other people to conform to the status quo, to conform to the things that everybody else is doing, to conform to what is fashionable, to conform to what is cool at this time. Being authentic is really not putting a whole lot of stock and value in other people's ways of doing things, other people's flair. It's okay to appreciate it and say, hey, that's pretty good. I like that. That's a good inspiration for me. But for you to dig deep and come up with your own authentic way of doing things is what you're responsible for. So that's authenticity. And so I want to chat a little bit about how you're able to figure out how to conduct yourself with authenticity, how to carry yourself and go about the world in a way that might be considered authentic. And so the example I gave last time is just the time that you were born in the world. When you were born, all the planets and everything was at a certain point in the sky. There are certain constellations that were in the sky. The sun was at a particular angle. The moon was in a particular place. The earth was on its rotational axis in juxtaposition with the moon in a certain way. And that snapshot taken at your birth reveals the blueprint of your character, the blueprint of your personality. That's just a snapshot. So we know that the only thing that does not change is change itself. So everything is always moving. It's always moving. It's always spiraling. The earth is always moving. The moon is always moving. And so are you always moving. But that was a snapshot that was taken at your birth. So accordingly, you are unfolding in a very unique way that is very, very distinct and unique to you. And so it's important for you to understand who you were at a very, very early age, because that will give you some insight into your authenticity. And so as I did last time, I'm going to give some examples of what I consider the foundation of my character, of my blueprint. I said earlier that I was pushed and forced into leadership roles at a very, very early age. So leadership is something that is very, very integral to who I am. I am always leading. I am always looking to help and guide and usher in and support and encourage. Is something that is in me. It's something that I grew into because I was required to. I had to be able to to help with my brother and sister. As a result, that grew into me taking on leadership roles with others my age, and then that grew into me taking on leadership roles with people that were older than me, and it goes on. If you know me, you know my story. So leadership for me is part of my blueprint. It's part of who I have continued to blossom and grow into. Another thing that's foundational for me is music. Okay, so I've been a musician since 4, 5, 6 years old. I was taught to play the piano by my mother, who played the piano in church, and then I began to play piano in church also, and then I continued to learn from her and learn some things on my own, and then I was playing the organ, and I got into other aspects of music, and I went to New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, where I studied music with some of the greats that are famous today, from Sandra Booker to Jonelle Kennedy, who is actually an actress, to all the Marcelluses. I went to school with them, learned jazz technique, and I did classical music. I did singing and piano. And there's someone else that I can't think of right now that's also famous right now that went to that same school, but that's not the point. The point is that music is something, along with leadership, that is foundational to who I am, and as such, that's going to be part of my authenticity. So when I am being honest about myself, there's always going to be a little bit of leadership and music in everything that I do. Those two things are always braiding and weaving together the story of my life, and everything that I experience is happening through the lens and perception of those things, and those are the biggest tools that I use to derive everything else. And so the question for you is, what are the foundational aspects of your character? What are the foundational aspects of your personality? What do you consider those things? Maybe it's just one thing. Maybe it's 3 or 4 things that at a very, very early age in your formative years that you were engaged in doing. It became a lifestyle for you. It became a way of living and existing. What are those things for you? Whatever they are, delve into those and get a deeper understanding of those things and how you interact with those and how you leverage those, because that is going to reveal to you your true character, your blueprint, your authenticity. So that is what I want to leave you with. Like, what are you here for? Like, why are you here? And how do you go about weaving your magic? How do you go about expressing yourself and solving problems in the world? What is the distinct and unique medicine that you give to the world? What kind of tree are you? When we come to your tree and we pick the fruit, what kind of fruit is it? Okay, what are we eating? What are we getting from you? How are you healing us? How are you helping us? How are you solving problems? What are you doing in the world? What is your legacy? What is it that you want to look back over your life and feel good about that you contributed to the world, to the human collective? Inside that is going to be your authenticity. And so I think it is the responsibility of everyone, depending on where you are, your level of consciousness, your level of development, the level at which you have blossomed and unfolded. How are you being authentic? Okay. All right, so there's a whole lot of other things that I said on the other live that I'm not feeling the spirit moving me to repeat those things. I certainly am open to discussing those with you, to engaging with you in the comments. As a matter of fact, if there are any other topics or aspects of this discussion that I brought up in the initial live, if you want to mention those things so that I can comment on them more and in more detail, feel free to do that. I prefer you comment right there in the comments underneath this post. If you would like, you can also DM me, that's fine. But I'm going to go ahead and end with some tips for cultivating authenticity. The first tip is to be honest, okay? And be honest about who you are. Be honest about yourself. Be honest about what you're doing. Yeah, what do you bring to the table? When you walk into the room, what are we about to witness? What is happening when you walk into the room? What are you bringing to the situation? What is your presence about? So be honest. And to be honest, that means that you have to have engaged in some shadow work. You have to have engaged in some activity where you have gotten rid of some of the old patterns and some of the triggers that were based on trauma that you were doing unconsciously, not even aware. So you have to emerge from a level of unconsciousness in order to truly be honest, because oftentimes if you don't know yourself, you don't really know how to be honest about yourself, because you don't even know what to be honest about. You don't know who you are. So do the work so you can be honest and that you can contribute something. The next thing for authenticity is to be present. So how many of you have been with someone and they weren't there? Right? Their body is there, but their mind is somewhere else. They're handling something else. They are in a different place. The only thing that is there is their body, but their spirit's not there, their energy is not there, their mind is not there, their support is not there, their enthusiasm is not there, their inspiration is not, they're just not there. And so they may as well be somewhere else as opposed to parking their body next to you or ostensibly being there as your friend when in fact they have their mind on something else. So don't be that person. Be present. What is being present? What does that mean? Being present means that you let it be known who you are. You let it be known what your intentions are. Why are you here? Are you here to support me? How do I know that? Did you say that? What are your actions reflecting? Are your actions reflecting that you're supporting me, that you're encouraging me, that you're rooting for me, that you want me to win, that you're in my corner? Are you someone that is providing me advice, or you are someone that is just a silent support that is there for me if I need you? Like, be present. Give your ideas, give your support verbally, energetically, spiritually. Your mind and your heart should be aligned so that your actions and your words are moving in congruence. So that is being present, okay? Number 3, take some time, and this is again about being authentic and practicing authenticity. Make sure that you are gathering around yourself a circle that allows you to be vulnerable. You should be surrounded by people that resonate with who you are and that allow you to let your hair down, figuratively, that allow you to speak your truth, that allow you not to feel that you always have to mince words or hide who you really are, or not be honest about the things that you've experienced and what you authentically bring to the table. Take the time to mindfully surround yourself with that kind of circle, because unless you are surrounded by people that are growing, that are intentionally living, then you're not going to be comfortable enough to be authentic. And so you want to be able to, number one, surround yourself with those people, because you get more practice and skill being authentic. And then when you're not in your familiar circle, then you can still be authentic because you've been doing it for so long. So surround yourself with a circle of people that allow you to be vulnerable. And then be vulnerable. That's number 4. Be vulnerable. If you've lived long enough and if you've had some experience, you know that vulnerability is probably reflective of the highest level of strength. Being vulnerable means being naked. It means being unafraid. It means maybe being afraid, but being courageous enough to be who you are. Being courageous enough to reveal who you are. Being courageous enough to be the first one to say I'm sorry. Being the first one to admit a mistake. Being the first one to say, hey guys, what can we do to get along? How can we make this work? Being vulnerable is the strongest example of authenticity. And to be vulnerable, however, you need to start off by having a group of people around you that are worthy of your vulnerability. That's a word. That's a word. You need to surround yourself with a circle that is worthy of your vulnerability. Because how many of you know that it's not very constructive to throw your pearls to swine? They're just going to trample it underfoot. They're not going to appreciate it, and you're going to walk away potentially feeling resentful. So make sure you're surrounded by a circle of people that allow you to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable with them, okay? And then share those nuggets of wisdom that only you can derive from your experience. Share with them those triumphs and those victories over adversity. Share with them the things that you were able to overcome. Share with them those hard trials and tribulations that have made you who you are, that have shaped you, that have fashioned you into the unique spirit and energy and aura that you exude. So those are my tips on being authentic. I'm hoping that you all are having a beautiful Saturday, as I am here in North Tempe, South Scottsdale. And I will be uploading this shortly. And I do apologize for the initial attempt not being successful. But you know what? That all happened for a reason. I may not understand it right now, but at some point it may be revealed to me why that didn't work out. But I'm glad that I persevered, and I went on to create episode 13 of our Detox Your Circle series. Thanks so much, all of you. You have a wonderful afternoon. Take care.